Hey, Matt and Janelle here with Shon Harris. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. How are you?
We're good.
We're good, man. So we wanted to have you on tonight because we wanted to share with the community some of the cool things that Yuba City's been doing lately. And we figured who better to ask the questions than somebody who's sitting on council.
Yeah, you bet. Be happy
Awesome.
to.
So this year was the second year that we got to go on the bus tour with the mayor.
Yes.
And it was really cool because everybody was there. It was like Cool and the Gang was there at different spots throughout town.
Yeah, it was a really good thing. We started doing that a couple years back, and this is the first year we've had multiple days, and then multiple sessions on multiple days, and so the interest has been very good. We're very pleased with that. It's too bad we couldn't have more room for more people. We'll try to figure out another way to do it, or maybe even have more sessions later. But it was very good. In fact, we came up thought of an idea, maybe for as far as recruiting new employees, maybe doing the same thing, kind of a tour of the city oriented towards folks who might not be from the area, to let them know the special thing we have going on here in Yuba City, to try to generate some interest in people coming to work here.
Yeah,
so
that's
we might be able to do that too.
Yeah, Yuba City is really unique in the fact that it's such a small town, but it's a big city at the same time. I mean,
yeah.
So
and we're close to so much. We have proximity to a lot of other amenities too beyond our city limits. But as far as workaday, living day to day, this is a great place to be. Yeah,
I absolutely love it. Matt brought me here about 11 years ago now from South Natomas.
Oh, that was horrible down there.
My baby shower was interrupted with a police raid on the neighbors.
Yeah,
that's always pleasant.
Yeah. And so moving to Yuba City, it was a kind of a culture shock for me because where we were living, I would call him because I work nights, and I would call him when I got to our apartment, and he would have to come meet me at my car and walk me to our apartment.
Well,
just for safety.
Yeah. We ended up buying ourselves out of our lease like a month early to get out of that area and to come home because Yuba City's the best.
And then coming to Yuba City, and we're just walking around. We're walking through the store, and these people are just looking at me and smiling, and maybe even nodding, maybe a little wave, and I didn't know what was happening. I wasn't used to that.
It's interesting being in a law enforcement background where people wave at you with all five fingers. Oh, nice.
Right.
For the most part.
Yeah, I didn't even warn her about the chickens. Like, I didn't think it was a weird thing because I grew up here. So, when you're here a long time, you don't notice that we have a plethora of chickens. But she got here and she was like, "This is weird, man." I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
So I grew up in the mountains and then in the city. So I grew up with bears and mountain lions being an issue. And then in the city. And so when we came here, our very first night here, we just finished unpacking. We got the baby to bed. We're sitting out on the front porch, just kind of calming down. And I hear a rooster.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
I mean, I'd seen chickens. It's not like I'd never seen a chicken, but I thought they only did that at sunrise, like they do in the cartoons.
Yeah, they apparently. See, I did too. But
oh, see, I'm not the only one.
Well, yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why you're not allowed to have roosters in the city limits. Wakes people up, But they will do it. I have found I had a couple stray ones across the street from me is actually county, and so they have roosters. But a couple of them got out during a storm. The fence blew down, and I had a couple of them out here in my front yard. And they middle of the day, they would come home. I would come home, and I'd have three roosters or three chickens walking at me with a purpose, Yeah. I feed them, and then when I didn't, or sometimes I did, they would do the cock-a-doodle-doo thing, and it was interesting. But I can understand why people have challenges with them for sure, because they like to leave evidence of their presence, and it can be kind of annoying sometimes. But I think it's pretty unique to our city. Fair Oaks apparently has a good population of feral chickens as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. No. We had it for a while there. There was one particular chicken that we could pick out at the Winco parking lot, and my daughters at the time were I don't know, 5 and 8, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Moana had just come out with that little hey chicken, and so we had to find hey before we could go grocery shopping. Like we couldn't go inside until we found it.
Yeah.
And that lasted for probably about 3 months.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden there was no more hey, and we were like, well, I mean, it was a special chicken that probably went through its cycle,
Went to the farm, went back to the farm.
Exactly,
That's right.
Exactly.
Right. Took a trip to the grocery store, if you know what I mean.
So back on track here, but so going through this bus tour, you're saying that you guys had multiple sessions of it. Did they fill up pretty quickly? So, I mean, we had a pretty much full bus when we went.
It was awesome.
They did. Our city manager, Diane Langley, I think she told me that the slots filled up within, oh man, I don't want to misspeak, but I think she said within 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
So it's almost like a rock concert or something, right? You got to get your spot while you can.
It's a pretty unique program. I mean, I've lived in a lot of different places, and I've never seen that being offered to anybody, and it's a pretty unique thing to be able to get on a bus, cruise around for a couple hours, and meet everybody that is making the decisions at the city level,
Yeah. And we had our mayor put, he stationed strategically folks from the council at each spot,
Right.
So you're greeted, and that's kind of I think a unique aspect too, because people get to meet folks and you're welcomed, you're expected, it's appreciated, and it's just a nice thing all the way around. So
yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
it was very, very cool. And then some of the things we went over were like the Bridge Street improvements and how the process that's taking, and what can you tell us about that as far as the work that's still yet to be finished?
Well, we're going to widen out the stretch between Gray and Cooper still. In fact, we're having a groundbreaking at 9 a.m. on Friday in the middle of that stretch in one of the vacant lots. So it'd be awesome to see you and whomever might be watching. I don't know how many people are, it doesn't tell me, but to show up at 9 a.m. on Friday is our groundbreaking for that. So there's a plan. You can probably, I believe it is on our city website, and it goes down not just simply widening the street, but there's infrastructure, there's sidewalks, it's bike friendly, ped friendly, crossing, more safer crossings, and it's designed to mirror landscape wise that section from Cooper to Plumas as well. And so it's many benefits to that. And the public has had to endure, it's not very aesthetic to see all these vacant lots and houses being torn down, and not to mention the fact that stretch of Bridge Street will rattle the teeth out of your head if you go over. But we don't want to put a bunch of money into fixing a road. We're going to plan on doing it all and doing it all right, and starting on Friday, really.
Wow.
But it's been a lot of work. Staff's put a lot of effort into it, a lot of planning into it, a lot of feedback. But it's going to prevent that choke point that is created by that. You'll have 4 lanes all the way from the bridge all the way to Highway 99 this way. And then also one of the reasons we for the bridge also is evacuation route. If we have to get out of town, you'll prevent that choke point as well. Not to mention movements of goods and services to and from this side of the river to that one. And there's just an all-around good thing to grow up. So.
Well, when they did the Bridge Street, I don't know, improvement, rebuild, whatever you want to call it, when the new bridge was built, that new 5th Street Bridge, I know that was a big deal, and that was obviously it doubled the space, it's newer infrastructure. But if I remember correctly, and I really hope I do, because this was not in the notes and I'm kind of just throwing this on you here, I want to say that there was a really cool water safety feature paired with Marysville that was put into that bridge.
Well, there's a water pipe, if you will, underneath the bridge in case they run short of water. We can help them out, and so to get water across. And it's, if you're going to build it, it's good to think about it ahead of time, even like fiber optics things and things like that to get across a waterway. You may as well get a 2 or 3 for when you're going to do a bridge to get everything else too. So yeah,
because the city's just going to keep expanding. I know we've had due to fires and everything in our area, unfortunately, a lot of people had to relocate. And fortunately for us, a lot of those great people decided to go ahead and start putting roots down here, which it's going to be that growth. So there's going to be more people, there's going to be more traffic. This way, we're alleviating a lot of those issues too.
Well, we'll help ease some of the pressure. Now, when we talk about growth, we're really trying to focus also to avoid sprawl, but we have a lot of room to grow in the interior ports, so infill, if you will. And so if we can do, I just got back from a trip to Washington, D.C. when we went on a tour, some examples of infill development in Virginia, just south of D.C. proper. And there are plenty of examples, other places too, I'm sure. But folks would, you create, for example, there was a Target store, but above the Target store, apartments. Right. And then around the perimeter would be like the Starbucks and some shopping, maybe bookstores and things like that. So you have some quality of life things. But if you worked there, guess what? You're living and you're working. You don't have to get in the car.
Right.
So
No commute.
Not only does that save you gas money and save you time and gets you maybe a little bit more in shape if you're walking to and from, but you're alleviating some of the congestion and you're doing your part to lower our greenhouse gas emissions all at the same time.
Which is all great, but you do lose your excuse for being late to work. You can't say that you're late because of traffic.
Yeah. So. Well, especially the people that are, during COVID are working from home. How do you be late from work there?
Yeah. No excuses at that point.
So it's going to be a good thing. And then, of course, you couple that with the bike path that's in the works that we're trying to work on, getting from out there in Acacia and all the way into the new park, which is Deidar S. Baines Park here in Harder. The next leg that's going to be finished is like from Hooper to the park itself, which stops at Harder, and then the railroad right away behind Walmart and that shopping center all the way through eventually to Plumiston Bridge. So you link everything up. You alleviate some of the eyesores that goes along with old railroad property. And then you provide mobility alternatives for people other than their car to get out on a trail. Say if you live on Reeves or somewhere back in there behind Plumas Street and you need to go to the future county office buildings at the Kmart building, or if you want to go to Walmart, if you want to go to a park, if you want to go have a cup of coffee or something, you just get on that path rather than in your car. And now we're going back to all those other reasons that we talked about, why infill and multi-use development is so important, right? And eventually the vision, whether it's just in my head now or not, I'm doing a lot of talking about it, but we can incorporate that old railroad trestle over there, just south of the the Fifth Street Bridge, incorporate that into a bike path down through Marysville and down their soon to be brand new Fifth Street corridor, up onto the levee and on out to Sycamore Ranch, whereas potentially proposed a water community education. That's not the right word, but they're going to do a big center education, water related out there. Of course, it needs to subject to approval and funding,
right?
All that stuff, but that's been talked about. So if we can link those all the way out, right, that would be.
I follow you on social media. Follow your Facebook, and I remember you posted probably right after you got back, or maybe while you were in Washington D.C., some of the renderings and some of the. This is what it actually looks like. This is what it's done. And I saw earlier today, actually, City of Yuba City posted basically a rough rendering of what the bike path would look like all the way from that new park, which I do want to talk about, but from that new park all the way to Plumas. And the city had put on their Facebook, and I wrote it down so I don't get it wrong here. This Saturday from 8 to 12 at the Farmers Market at Town Square. There's going to be somebody from the city there to discuss and hear input and everything about that new bike path, which I think is really, really cool.
It really is. It's going to be good. You have the path itself, but then you have laterals, right, to get to businesses and shopping and whatnot, houses. And it'll be a good thing. And more than just, asphalt atop an old railroad. I mean, have some landscaping, and benches perhaps, and lighting and things like that to make it really a nice place to be. similar to what I have. I posted there from that spot in Virginia. We don't have enough room there. It's ours isn't that wide, but we have other challenges. First of all, funding, of course, and then getting all of us electeds to agree on how it's going to turn out and what it's going to look like, and we have to get under or over or otherwise around Highway 20 and Highway 99 too. So there's some challenges there, but none of them are challenges that aren't conquerable, and none of them are challenges that we're not willing to take on. Because it's so worthwhile if you just keep your eye on that prize, right? And I'll be off the council by the time it's done, but I plan on being actively involved in seeing it to fruition as much as appropriate.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
And then, so we talked about that park that's going in. The groundbreaking has already happened. I know there's fences up. I know that there's the big equipments out there. It's going to be a really big park.
5 acres.
5 acres, yeah.
That's awesome.
And then it's, I'm trying to remember. So it's going to have obviously the barbecue area. It's going to have like the big open field area for sports and all that. But what I thought was really cool that we heard on the bus tour was there's something very, very special about the bike path, not the Sutter County bike path, but like the park itself has a very cool bike path with a very unique feature. What can you tell us about that?
Well, they call that a pump track. And so there's different obstacles, or like a say, figure a park course, but for bicycles, right? And so the way they are designed is on the outside, on the perimeter of it, is the easy stuff, or maybe smaller kids or people who aren't quite as skilled. And the further you go in, the more challenging they become. And so there's a lot of, you Google pump track, and there's a lot of examples of options. But yeah, I mean, and that's perfect link because it's right there at the bike path, right?
Right.
I'm not gonna be able to keep my son out of there probably when it's done,
right.
Which is fine. Anywhere other than in front of a computer is fine with me.
Yeah,
right.
They do that too much already. But anyway, yeah, it's exciting, and of course basketball, and it'll be a really nice place once we're done.
That is very cool. I'm excited for that to open up. My kids they're 11 and 8, so they're just at that point. I'm just losing when it's like, let's go to the park, and they're excited about it.
Yeah, it's like they can't go on the same old stuff. They need to have older activities that are more geared towards where they are right now.
Yeah,
and I feel like this park is going to be amazing for that.
I believe you're correct. It's going to be really exciting, and in our pickleball courts that we have over there at San Brandon, that's incredible. That's the fastest growing sport, is pickleball.
Have people been utilizing those and getting out and enjoying?
Yeah, there's clubs and the whole bit. You can schedule a time online and things like that. Yeah,
that's amazing.
When I was mayor, we did the first annual, and then COVID killed us, but we did the first annual Mayor's Cup. There was even a perpetual trophy at City Hall for the team that won the pickleball tournament.
Yeah. Oh, very cool.
So we'll probably revamp that maybe next year with Wade, or after that if I'm scheduled to be. We'll see how it happens. Meet me there in 2024. We'll revive it then, if nothing else. So
right,
it's just a good time.
Yeah.
That was very cool. And then something else over by the park, we've got obviously the Walmart and that whole shopping center, and we've got a couple brand new businesses that have just opened up recently in there. There was Crumble Cookies, and then the brand new Sportsman's Warehouse.
That place tight.
Yes.
But something that was mentioned on the tour is that you brought up COVID. Obviously, we all had to go through that. But Yuba City was one of the few cities that actually saw economic growth to an extent versus a lot of places that, unfortunately, so many businesses just couldn't make it without that in-person customer basis. But Yuba City actually saw a bit of growth during that time.
Well, we were really surprised. Growth as far as our tax base. I don't know what it is about people wanting to buy cars in a pandemic, but boy, they did. But yeah, it was very surprising. We actually approved the deficit budget in anticipation of hopefully something happening. But it worked out, and we're not alone in that. It was surprising for a lot of people. I do feel for the folks that just couldn't quite make the cut and faded out, but hopefully they'll be able to revamp at some point. It definitely changed. There's some things in the world that change life forever. 9/11 being one, and I think COVID is another for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with that. We
Yeah.
met a local business owner the other day. I'm going to get her name wrong. Aaliyah, I think. She runs a business on Plumas Street now called Nina Hive. And it's a clothing store, but she bought all of this clothing, like invested her life savings into a clothing store for like clothes that you go out and you wear when you're going out on occasions. You're going to weddings, you're going to whatever, right before COVID hit.
Oh, man.
Like in January.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit and everybody's wearing sweatpants. And she managed to, be extremely creative and just absolutely, pulled herself up by her bootstraps and made it all the way through COVID, and now has an actual brick and mortar store on Plumas Street. So, I mean,
she was at a social media event that we attended, and she was telling us a story. Man, it pulls on the heartstrings, but she stood up and fought back, and now she's killing it.
Well, good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
It was a very rough time, but so many people like her. I mean, you got to figure out what you're made of, and you got to figure out how creative you can be.
Yeah. Well, she's definitely an example. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What was her name again?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to get it wrong twice now. Aaliyah Shine. I'll tag her in the comments at the end because I have her on Facebook. But yeah, she's a mother with 3 little kids, and I mean, she's just absolutely crushing it. But I thought that was really cool. So,
well, that's definitely one thing we need is for lack of a better word, higher end clothing stores for men and women.
Right. Yeah, there's I think what we have Target, we have Burlington, and we have Kohl's, or we're getting Burlington.
Yeah, Burlington coming, and Kohl's.
I don't even know where my shirts come from.
I
do. They just show up.
I know where his shirt's coming from.
I just go in the closet
and I'm my bed.
So Hobby Lobby just opened.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Burlington, we'll talk about them all. Hobby Lobby just opened. I know that was when it was announced that they were coming, all the moms groups that I'm on Facebook just went absolutely nuts.
Boy, I can understand that. I went in there. It was 3 months had passed, so it's time to replace the basketball shoes. So I was in the mall the other day with my son, and I said, well, you know what, you go pick out whatever I'm going to tell you can't afford, you can't get because they're expensive, and I'm going to go check out Hobby Lobby, right? And I can see why all the moms and the arts and crafts people, all the Etsy people are just excited about that. Michael's is great, obviously, all those things, but this one is like,
really,
it's a lot. It's a lot going on.
I'll have to check it out. I'm one of those people that I should not be around super glue unsupervised
ever.
So I don't do the arts and crafts. I'm more of like a paint by numbers kind of. That's my skill.
Okay, perfect. Well, Matt, that'd be a lot cheaper for you then, because they would go crazy if she was into that.
Right?
It's
pretty good.
It's pretty good.
But I know Burlington's
either, but
yeah.
Burlington. Yeah.
Burlington's going to be open up pretty soon. Do you know? I know that they're already hiring people. Do you have any insider info as to when they might actually open the doors?
I do not. I do believe it's going to be by this summer. Okay. But I can't really give you I don't recall a specific date.
I remember Burlington just being like our go-to spot for baby clothes.
Yeah, that, and they had a big and tall section, right? So I'm both big and tall. So, I have a very limited place where I can shop, or where she shops for me, And I remember in Woodland, we had a Burlington. That's where I went. I mean,
yeah.
Convenient.
So let's see. We're knocking off everything I had here, except I did want to talk about, I'm sure everybody's noticed all the construction that's going on across from Winco on Franklin. And there's going to be, as I understand, it's going to come in 2 different phases. Is that correct?
From what I understand, yes. I'm not sure of the timeline on it yet. It does appear to have stalled a little bit. I don't see any equipment out there. I drove by yesterday. But it'll be interesting in that you talk about infill and multi-use properties. On the front, the row of buildings and homes that front Franklin will be down below would be like a working space, so live work thing. Right. And so that ought to be interesting. Definitely something we don't have. I kind of mentioned it before to some consultants we had come through town as far as doing something like that on Bridge Street, and was told that it's not necessarily that popular for whatever reason. I don't recall what she said, but I was glad to see it. Some, we have a dozen or so, maybe a little under units here in town to see if it works, because that whole corridor can really be something nice, and people can actually find a business, or they have a business where they can live where they work, and vice versa. It should be a good opportunity for those folks.
Yeah, and it just seems like a really good opportunity for younger people trying to establish themselves. That's really what keeps coming into my head is like, man, if I had this when I was 18 or 19, an opportunity to be close to work, but also close to the college. And, it blows my mind that wouldn't be popular.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a good thing.
So I know we've got that coming, and then you're talking about this infill, and I know during the tour we talked about some motel or hotels, like nice hotels.
Yeah, big ones
coming to the area.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say, and I don't know the street names as well as a council member and a former peace officer, but that big empty field behind Target.
Well, that's Onstott base. It's Onstott, okay. And that's by Hilton, I believe. The home. My computer just died, but home to something. I had an opportunity to stay in one of those in Utah recently, and it was pretty nice. And it's kind of like the quality like right in there at Hampton Inn level, which is my favorite price point. Right. It's not lower end, but it's not outrageous to where you got to pay for every move you make, which is infuriating. But I think for Yuba City, we need the hotel rooms. We have the new one, of course, being built at B and Shasta. That's in the process right now. And at Holiday Inn Express, and then there's another one on Woodward that's proposed. And Woodward, I wouldn't blame you if you didn't know where that was, because it is a street, but it's not. You know where Spurbeck's Nursery moved to?
Yeah. Yes.
That's Woodward. So it's going to be between Spurbeck's Nursery and the old railroad right-of-way is where that hotel is going to be.
Okay.
But we need the hotel rooms, and particularly with the soon opening of the Mormon temple. People come from all over, and they need a place to stay, right? And hopefully eat, and hopefully buy gas, and hopefully everything else too. So it's going to be a good thing.
Well, no, we should, I think, have the Sikh parade back this year, and I know that always fills up the hotel rooms when we get a lot of visitors in for that week and a half or so.
Yeah. That's another good thing. It's just one more thing to the long list of things that make Yuba City special, for sure.
Yeah, I had no idea. Talking about that temple. Excuse me. I mean, we've seen it go up. It's actually right down from our office. We're on Civic Center, so we drive past it every day. I had no idea how rarely these temples get built. I figured, okay, they're building a temple. That's fantastic. And it's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. But apparently they only build one every 3 or 4 years, we were told.
Yeah. I don't know what their frequency is, but it is definitely a big deal that they build one. And it's a big deal that they build one here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, I mean, just obviously the building itself is absolutely beautiful. I cannot wait. I guess they're going to do an open house where everybody's welcome to come in and see it inside. And then after that, it gets, I don't know the proper words. So I'm going to go with sanctified or blessed.
I think it's blessed. Yeah.
Blessed. And then after that, only certain people are going to be welcome to the inner part of the temple there. But even the landscaping is gorgeous. We happened to be driving by when they started bringing in those olive trees.
Yeah.
You know the story behind that?
They're 100-year-old olive trees that were brought in from Corning or something. I don't.
I'm not sure where they were brought in from, but yeah, 100-year-old, and there's only one other place in the world that has them.
That's insane.
Other than that orchard, I guess the church owns a huge olive orchard.
Okay.
But how they decided on putting them here and how they decided on having a dozen of them, I don't know how all that works.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It sure adds a lot to it for sure, and adds to the story. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've got that coming in soon. We've got all the businesses that are opening up. We've got the park that's being worked on, Bridge Street that's coming up. We've got a bunch of new homes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how are we gonna house all these people?
Yeah. We're working on that.
Yeah.
So just bigger and better things always coming to the city. I really appreciate you coming and spending your evening with us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. If anybody has any questions, I'm sure they can go yell at somebody else in the city, right? Just anybody else.
Yeah, anybody. But yeah,
okay, awesome.
Contact me. I'm happy to chat with anybody. And I guess there's not a live chat room on this device here. I can't see that. Sometimes they have them where the questions pop up while you're talking. Maybe it's on your end.
Yeah, we haven't had any questions come up.
Okay.
But
it's all good. Anything comes up later or
it.
whatever, and we'll see you guys around. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on.
Shon.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Have a good night.
All right. Bye.